Have you ever run into someone so swollen with ego that you felt like shaking their soul with a slap? One of those people who walks into a room as if the Creator himself had appointed them official ambassador of ego on Earth. They talk as if Google searches would cease to exist without their opinion, and they're convinced that saying sorry could trigger a natural disaster. Today, you're going to learn how to shatter any ego with 3 savage psychological tactics from Nietzsche. And no, it's not cruelty, it's power. Let's go! Technique 1. Indifference is the most devastating tactic. Nietzsche warned it better than anyone. He who fights monsters must beware not to become one. What does this mean? That you don't need to fight, don't need to raise your voice, and definitely don't need to post subtle jabs on your socials. You only need to master the lethal art of indifference. Because egocentrics don't crave your love, they crave your attention. They want your reaction, your approval, your jealousy, your anger, anything that proves they still matter to you. That's where the most silent, most devastating strategy enters, calculated indifference. The moment you cut off their emotional fuel, their ego weakens like Wi-Fi inside an elevator. It stumbles, freezes, and collapses. They flaunt money. They boast achievements. They brag about followers. Don't try to outdo them. Just nod, say a cold, "Good for you." Smile politely and move on, as if they'd told you they had toast for breakfast. That attitude not only throws them off, it burns them, because they realize they're no longer the main character in your movie. Remember this: ego only breathes if you give it oxygen. Attention is oxygen. Kill the reaction, kill the ego. That's 1 out of 3, but the next one is even more. Technique 2. Ask a question. Their ego cannot digest. If there's something an ego hates more than being ignored, it's being exposed by its own words. Why does it work? Because you don't need to scream or impose. Just launch a calm, surgical question that shakes their self-image. When they're bragging or pretending superiority, drop a doubt that forces them to justify what they boast about. For example, if they say, "I don't need advice from anyone," you ask, "Then why do you get so defensive when someone disagrees with you?" If they say, "I know what I'm doing," you ask, "Then why don't the results reflect that certainty?" If they say, "That's just who I am, take it or leave it," you ask, "Are you truly like that, or do you just not know how to improve?" See the power? You don't insult, you put a mirror in front of the ego and say, "Explain this." Sometimes an ego breaks with a smile. Nietzsche put it like this: people avoid the truth because they're afraid their illusions will collapse. You don't destroy them. You guide them to the point where they must justify the unjustifiable. That's psychological checkmate. But wait, the third tactic is the most dangerous of all. Technique 3. Use compliments to expose their vulnerabilities. This tactic is intimate because it uses their own facade to suffocate them. It works like this. Observe their weak points, maybe their looks, their social status, or their intelligence. Instead of confronting them, you compliment them, but in excess and in front of others. That's the key. You execute it over the top. For example, "Amazing how confident you are, considering you never finished college. Truly admirable." Or, "Oh, you're absolutely the best communicator I know. I never would have noticed your nerves." Or, "Your ability to talk about yourself without pausing for breath is impressive." You didn't insult. You didn't attack. You simply highlighted their greatest weakness as if it were their greatest strength. In that moment, their mind starts spinning. Did they mean that genuinely, or is that how others actually see me? It's a mental strike because egos don't rest on reality. They rest on performance. And when you expose that performance with just a bit too much intensity, their whole personality begins to crumble. Nietzsche said it best: one must still have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star. And believe me, this tactic creates exactly that chaos. You become the mirror they never asked for, the reflection they can't endure. Ego is fragile, dressed in fake security. It looks brave, but inside it's hollow. The most effective way to destroy it is not to fight it, it's to reveal it. Not with anger, but with accuracy. This isn't about destructive behavior. It's about becoming invulnerable. To hold such calm, such clarity, such steadiness, that fragile people can't stand being near you. Remember, any ego that can provoke you owns you. Real mastery isn't breaking other masks, it's training the mind inside your own. Because whoever controls their inner world controls every place they walk into. Now that you know how to break an ego, you must also learn how to protect yours. Because if you're easily offended, if you react to everything, if you obsess over how others see you, your ego is just as fragile as theirs. Nietzsche never preached fake confidence. He wanted you to build something deeper. A mentality immune to likes, compliments, criticism, or trends. That's the Übermensch. The Übermensch doesn't seek approval. He creates his own rules, walks alone if needed, and above all, doesn't react. He responds with purpose, clarity, and power. So here's your brutal reminder. When someone can hurt you just by leaving you on read, they control you. And if other people's opinions change how you see yourself, then you're not free. You're their puppet. That's why the real invitation is to cut those strings. Mastering the ego isn't about being cold. It's about being so rooted in who you are that nobody can shake your center. Destroying someone else's ego might be fun, but becoming the kind of person no one can manipulate, that is true power. Because at the end of the day, the loudest egos aren't strong. They're just desperate to be seen. Real strength isn't crushing another, it's watching their theater and not needing to play along. That's the level of control. And if you don't have it yet, now is the time to start training it.